All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for putting up with all this. I never knew I'd need a road manager for a living room concert, but you know, it is what it is. For those who don't know me, I'm James Kahn. People call me Jay sometimes. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for putting up with this. Can you hear me now? Is my voice coming through speaking? Same sound as before. Is that good or bad, Lee? Nice. Okay. Thank you, Jeanette, for hosting this and helping me through all these technical difficulties. I am. This is the first time I've ever done, obviously, something like this, but I think we're all trying to reinvent ourselves a little bit during the pandemic. Um, I'm thankfully you can't smell flop sweat through a computer. I'm an emergency room doctor, a novelist, a screenwriter, a TV producer, singer songwriter, and storyteller. And my plan is to do a little bit of all of that today, except not so much in the doctoring. So if you do have a true medical emergency, just call 911. Today is also Rosh Hashanah, the first day of the Jewish New Year. It goes on for 10 days to Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And this is meant to be 10 days, a time of reflection, on reflecting what's gone on for us during the past year, what we were happy we did, what we'd like to have done better, and what we hope to do better in the future. Um, I'm not taking any tips or donations today, but I am hawking my book. Here's a picture of it. It's called Matamoros. It's a Civil War historical fiction adventure novel. And I also wrote a CD to accompany it. It's right here. The CD, the songs in the CD, each song is about one of the characters in the novel. And if you do want to buy it, you can get it at the usual places like Amazon, but I urge you to order it from my local bookstore, Chaucer's Books. And the URL for that should be up on Jeanette's page, on the Two Blue Roses page. Support your local bookstore, and if you order from there, you'll get a signed copy as well. Um, I'm going to do three sets today. Uh, First, from my old album, Man Walks Into a Bar. All the songs on that are about one of the characters in this bar on a given night and how their stories all intertwine and come together into a sort of meta story at the end. And that'll be followed by songs from Matamoros and then finally from The Meaning of Life, which is my previous CD. The first song I decided to do from Man Walks Into a Bar is called Wrong Side Bob. And it struck me it's a perfect song for this time in our lives, especially the line that goes, "Picture the great trains of hell in collision and the world splits wide open." So it's that kind of song. Wrong Side Bob got his name because he's one of those guys who tries to do everything right and then somehow it always goes sideways. And once I had decided on that song, that reminded me actually of an emergency room story. I said no doctoring, but this is a really short ER story that you can also hear up on my YouTube channel. But it's about that kind of thing that happens in the ER a lot, that you do things that you think are right and nothing quite turns out right. I was working the ER at LA County one day, and 3 gurneys got rolled in by paramedics. And as they're all, every one of the gurneys was unconscious or semi-conscious. And as we started talking to them and to the paramedics, this is the story that unfolded. An elderly woman and her husband were having breakfast in their kitchen in a one-floor, second-story apartment walk-up, and he clutched his chest and fell to the floor. She called paramedics, and they got there and ran up. As soon as they got there, one of the paramedics realized he brought the box that had not been restocked yet, so he had to run back down to the rig to get a new box. And she went down with him to hold the door open because their buzzer to open the door from upstairs was broken. So the other paramedics started putting oxygen on the unconscious man and putting leads on, and he saw that the man was in ventricular fibrillation, VFib, which is called a bag of worms heart. It's not beating, it's just kind of wriggling around. And that's where you defibrillate someone, like you see on TV, you shock them. So he took out his paddles and put them on the man's chest and shocked him. But unbeknownst to him, his knee was touching the man's arm, so he shocked himself. He sent all those 400 joules of electricity through his own body, and he fell over unconscious. The woman, who couldn't stand being away from her husband any longer, put a potted plant in the door downstairs to run up to see how it was going. She saw both of them down on the floor, and she fainted. Then the other paramedic finally got the new box and ran back up and saw all three of them unconscious on the floor and thought the only possible explanation was a gas leak. So he phoned in a gas leak and called the base station to get more paramedics and started dragging them out. And eventually they all got brought into the ER. And the man who was shocked, the old man, his heart was actually shocked back into normal rhythm by the paddle. So he was waking up. He was good. The paramedic who shocked himself knocked himself out, but he didn't do any serious damage, so he was waking up. And the woman who just fainted was also waking up. So all's well that ends well. And for the next few hours, we had a parade of patients coming in from the building who'd been told there was a gas leak, all certain they had inhaled gas and wanting to be admitted. But that's the kind of thing that happens to Wrong Side Bob. And this is his story, as he's one of these guys who sits at the bar all day and flirts with a bartender. And if you sit down next to him, he'll just start talking to you. He's an older, friendly guy. He's a Vietnam vet. And this is him talking to the bartender. I got out of the wrong side of the bed this morning. I got out of the wrong side of the bed this year. I believe the world that I was born in is worn out its welcome, honey. Give me that beer. I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks in my backyard, showering sparks over me from trains all night. Put a fire in my dreams. I guess that's why it's so hard to deal with the world, babe. Can you give me a light? I get out of my mind and I can see terrible visions. Fire in the hole. Are you ready for this? Picture the great trains of hell in collision. The world splits wide open. Won't you give me a kiss? You look like you know what it is to be nailed to the wall. Do you ever wake up wondering what's the point at all? We might never find out unless you give me a chance now. I won't let you fall. I've been a welder with acetylene torches. I can fire glass out of the burning sand. Took the role of the devil in a play where he scorches everyone he touches. Here, give me your hand. Stepping out of bounds, I know the lines can get blurry. Guy like me, I know it might seem strange, but I know the universe can change in a hurry. I give you what I got, girl, you can keep the change. Keep it, baby. So that's Wrong Side Bob. Now I had two guitars set up, one tuned in DADGAD and one in a normal tuning, but that had technical problems too. So now I'm going to have to retune while I'm talking. I've heard singer-songwriters on stage doing this and saying, we retune because we care. I actually tried to make a movie out of Wrong Side Bob. I made Bob the lead character. And I wrote a script for it, got it budgeted, got it cast. Ronnie Cox was going to star in it as Wrong Side Bob, and he would have been great because he's a songwriter and a folk singer himself. But I couldn't get it funded. You haven't heard that before, I bet. So I'm not taking tips or donations, but if anybody wants to Venmo me $250,000, you get to be the executive producer on the film. How about that? And I'll give you a role in the movie, too. So this next song from the Man Walks Into a Bar album is about a beautiful young woman who's also commonly at the bar. People call her Blue. She wears blue, and she's often melancholy. And her story is she's been beautiful since a young age, and like many beautiful women, when they're little, they're getting grown-ups complimenting them all the time, and they have to kind of either accept or fend those off. And when they get older, the boys are always complimenting them and projecting their fantasies onto them and not really learning who they are inside. And sometimes if a woman goes on too long like that, she may forget herself who she is inside. And that's kind of sad for her. So that's what this song is about. You'll hear her in this song refer to Wrong Side Bob, who we just saw. And she also refers to Dolores, the dancer in the bar, who's got a long song I'm not going to sing today. You can see it on my YouTube video. I did a music video of Dolores. But this song will end in a na-na-na-na-na verse. So I encourage you all to sing along with me for that. I won't be able to hear you, and you can't hear anybody else, but it'll be sort of faux interactive. You can harmonize with me, and it'll be fun. This is called The Invisible Blue Girl. She's a pretty girl. The boys always told her, so she coasted on that. Since the nights got older, she says life is a beach, no reason to weep. Wide as the tide, but only one kiss deep. Still lately she feels like a wheel's gone missing. Some dusky nights she lets herself listen to the girl inside who's never been seen, shaking like a lonely tambourine. Sometimes you wonder what it's like to feel, but you've been gone, baby, gone too long. And if you don't step up and get real, you're lost in the wrong song. For a pretty girl, all the perks and laughter make it hard to recall just what you were after. You're a party girl in a hot blue dress, only trying to remember who dealt this mess. As the boys crowd around you, pull further inside that dress. That's your place to hide. If they can find you, they can give you a whirl. The invisible blue girl. Sometimes you wonder what it's like to feel, but you've been gone, baby, gone too long. And if you don't step up and get real, you're caught in the wrong song. So you look round the bar at the loners and cruisers, some needy, some ready, some keepers, some losers. Wrong side Bob's trying to talk the barkeep into bed. Don't he realize she's as good as wed to this bar? Makes you wonder what it's like to be tied to something you love for that long ride. But you might never know, because nobody knows the invisible girl in her party clothes. There's a man there who loves you. He's kinda made that clear, but if he really did, he'd take you away from here. At least that's what Dolores, that dancer, put to you in the bathroom tonight when you were looking so blue. You said, Dolores, I'm just about over these guys and their mystery hearts and their desperate eyes. And she told you when time comes, we've all gotta rise to the moment. before the moment dies. So you're back at the bar, staring at your phone like right, Saved by the Bell. But you're just tap dancing, all alone in the Blue Girl Motel. Sometimes you wonder what it's like to feel, but you've been gone, baby, gone too long. And if you don't step up and get real, all you got is the wrong song. Na 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 na. La na 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 na. So you just gotta imagine lots of people singing the na-na verse at the end. Okay, next one from that is it's about a guy who's sitting off in the corner grieving about the woman who dumped him a couple months ago, and he's never been able to get over her. He's a good old boy, and it's kind of a country song. I thought good old boys like country songs. By the way, is the voice and guitar still levels okay? And I thought country songs are often kind of patriotic, but I didn't want to write a standard patriotic song. So I made it kind of originalist and took all the phrases that I could think of, like, when in the course of human events, and we hold these truths to be self-evident, and the right to bear arms, and these are the times that try the souls of men. And I strung them all together into his song. When I started taking music lessons about 10 years ago from Kate Wallace, a wonderful singer-songwriter here in Santa Barbara. And she was really encouraging. She was the person who urged me to start recording my music. And she liked all of my stuff. But when I sang this one for her, I think she thought the lyrics were too clever by half. And I told her, no, I thought just too clever by 3/8. But this is my declaration of independence from you. When in the course of human heartache we hold these truths to be worth crying for, that I love you, that I miss the love we used to make, that I can't bear these arms, will never hold you anymore. Look at all the people in this thirsty room, reminding me of days gone by with you. Some folks are flirting, some kissing, some plain hurting. That's just a few of the changes that you put me through. 40 nights since you left me, but I can't let go. Still feels like a pocket in my heart's been torn. I guess somehow I'll deal, shrug it off, even heal. Maybe that's the due process, how a scar is born. When in the course of human heartache we hold these truths to be worth crying for, that I love you, that I miss the love we used to make, that I can't bear these arms, will never hold you anymore. Look at all the smiles in this tear-splashed bar. They're like little lies trying to cover up what's true. Truth is you're gone, we're quits, you moved on. It's high time that I declare my independence from you. So I'm looking at myself in that back bar mirror, a picture of a man at his liberty. The freedom is real, still I can't help but feel independence just ain't all that it's cracked up to be. You tried the soul of this man, guess you're trying something else now. One day if we meet, I'll just smile, I know I can. I just don't know how. There's a girl at the bar staring at her phone, just hoping and moping in a light blue dress. Think I'll go say hello, I mean you just never know when it's time to stage a hot pursuit of happiness. When in the course of human heartache we hold these truths to be worth singing of, that I loved you once, that I know I'll love again one day, that we're all created equal to the task of love. I think we got such a late start. I think I'm going to skip a couple of these songs, including Light Blue. Apologies to you, Jeanette. I know you like this one a lot. But I'm going to go right to Danny's Three Wishes. Danny's the guy who's loved Dolores the dancer from afar for a long time and has never gotten up the guts to talk to her. This is called Danny's Three Wishes. Danny sat down to wait for Dolores. Some nights he came to watch her dance, but the voices in his head, like some clamoring chorus, told him to go home, 'cause he didn't stand a chance. So he just stared at the floor as she held his heart in her hands. He didn't want to be so shy with her, just share a glass of rye with her. Wished he could lie with her as they grew old. He just wanted to know her, but he wasn't that bold. Sometimes he saw joy on her face, sometimes pain near more than he could bear. Sometimes love, he'd swear there was a trace. Times all she wore was 1,000-yard stare, like she was looking for some place he wished he knew where. He didn't want to be so shy with her, just share a glass of rye with her. Wished he could lie with her as they grew old. He just wanted to know her, but he wasn't that bold. Danny liked to sit a bit out of the way, hoping just to catch her eye. But as she neared his table around midnight, he didn't know what to say. His mind went blank and his mouth went dry. He wished she would stay, but she walked right on by. In her street clothes, on an impulse, he touched her with his hand, forced himself to say the words, "I'm your biggest fan." She smiled at him, a benediction, then she walked out the back door. Danny thought he'd never been so happy before. Soon as she came back in, he'd tell her so much more. He wasn't gonna be so shy with her, he'd hoist a dram of rye with her. He might even lie with her before he grew old. He was ready to know her, his heart to unfold. But Dolores never came back again. And Danny took long walks in the rain and the wind. So, thanks. That's the last thing I'm going to do from that album. We're going to move on to Matamoros now. Matamoros, the novel, by the way, this year just recently won 2 literary prizes. It won a finalist in the American Book Fest Awards for Best Historical Fiction and finalist in the Reader's Favorite Awards for Western Fiction. It actually kind of reads more like an old Western novel, but it's set during the Civil War. In Matamoros. And I want to tell you a little bit about Matamoros and how I came to write this. 40 years ago, when I lived in Hollywood, one of our neighbors showed movies, 16 millimeter films to the neighborhood every Thursday night. He was an old below-the-line guy and was a hoofer in Guys and Dolls and an extra. So he used to tell us all the things that went on behind the scenes during the making of these old 40s and 50s movies. But he also told us stories of his family, of his great-great-great-grandfather, Samuel Ringgold, who was known as the father of modern artillery and was the last American officer killed in the Mexican-American War in 1848. And when he died, his family moved south to Brownsville, Texas, and across the border to Matamoros, Mexico. So they had all these family stories, and the deal with Matamoros was it was known as the back door of the Confederacy. By 1863, the North had blockaded all southern ports. So the only way the South could export cotton to England, which was its only form of income, was to ship all of its cotton to Brownsville, Texas, which was a southern stronghold at Fort Brown, and then ferry it across the river to Matamoros, and then Matamoros would ship it out, because the North was not allowed by law to blockade foreign ports. So Matamoros had 100 tall ships in the harbor, English ships unloading cotton and offloading guns and ammunition that would go to the South to fight the Civil War. Also merchant ships from dozens of countries, from Indonesia and Australia. So Matamoros was full of northern and southern spies, of runaway slaves, of Texas Rangers who were still fighting the Mexican-American War. But also it was full of French Foreign Legionnaires, because that same year Napoleon III had invaded Mexico to conquer it and to install his puppet dictator Maximilian, Archduke Maximilian of Austria. So Matamoros is also full of French Foreign Legionnaires and Austrian cavalry. It was an amazing town, 40,000 people. It had an opera house, and the biggest opera house in the hemisphere, actually. And it seemed like it was like Casablanca. It seemed like a ripe setting for a novel. So over the years, over the next decades, whenever I saw a book in a used bookstore that had to do anything to do with that area of the Civil War, I would pick it up and put it away. And then about 5 years ago, I was looking for a big project to sink my teeth into, and I thought this was the time for that. So I came up with a storyline, and started seriously researching it. Went down to Brownsville and got access to historical archives at the University of Texas and Brownsville Historical Association, original journals and newspaper microfiche and letters. And I wrote the book. It took me about a year to write it. And then it took me another year. It was 850 pages, the first draft. It took me another year to edit it down to 450. And during that second year, I also decided it was a good idea to write a whole CD of songs about each of the characters in the novel. So the first thing I'm going to do is read you a 10-minute passage from the novel. Just to give you a flavor of the thing. This is mostly about Clay, the lead character. Clay is a Southern expatriate. Just have a sip of water. Who somehow made his way down to Matamoros, where he's the owner of a gambling casino. Like Casablanca, although the story diverges from there. So I'm going to read the first, it's edited down a little bit, but these are the first opening pages of the novel. Isaac walked up, and you can just pretend this is like books on tape, and close your eyes. It's a bedtime story. Isaac walked up looking serious. Teamster at table 4 appears to be cheating, he said, the fellow we discussed. Isaac was a muscular black man in red vest and cravat, dressed like a house slave, though there were, of course, no slaves here on the Mexican side of the river. There weren't even that many slaves across the border in Texas, partly because escaping to Mexico was so easy, partly because it was generally cheaper to hire Mexican labor and let them wait home at the end of the day than it was to keep and feed black American chattel. Footnote here, that was actually true historically. I was surprised to learn. Isaac spoke with an educated New England accent. What he was doing south of the border was a matter of debate and sometimes actual wagering, though neither Isaac nor Clayton offered any explanation. Their relationship alternated between fraternal and hierarchical, though it must have been a hierarchy of their own invention. In fact, they acted a little like brothers, though obviously they were not. Clayton at 38 had straw-colored hair, a clean-shaven face, a Louisiana lilt, and a bent nose from a long-ago drubbing. His first offer was generally a smile, his second less genial. As owner of the Brave River Gambling Emporium, he dressed in the finest suits of London silk or linen, and although the summer temperature was still above 90 past midnight, Clayton gave the impression of never sweating. Some attributed this to pricey medicaments he purchased from a Kiowa medicine man he did business with from time to time. Some to the good fortune of a cool-blooded ancestry. Clayton answered few questions of a personal nature, though. That would have been a tell, and Clayton was nothing if not a good gambler. Good gamblers hid their cards in plain sight, the way chameleons hid their skins. But the chameleon's gift was also its failure, for it could be said to have no true color of its own. Clayton followed Isaac slowly through the crowd, where he picked up the smell of gambler's sweat mingled with a dozen other aromas. Tobacco smoke, chorizos grilled in the kitchen by Milagro, his ancient Mexican cook, the sweet perfumed women at the bar, warm beer, burning kerosene, and oiled boot leather. Clayton took it all in, the scents and sights, the clatter and clamor, his domain. Two main bartenders, Jim and Rumi, were both on duty tonight. Jim was a big, cheerful bear of a man who rarely spoke, but big enough to stop fights just by walking up. The other barkeep, Rumi, was a tough old dark-skinned Mexican fellow, some mestizo mix, who kept a beehive out back, where he went to get swarmed once a week. Swore the bee stings did wonders for his rheumatism. Clayton trusted them both to manage the room. Draping the walls were flags from 16 countries, mementos from the sailors who'd gambled away their shore leave. From above the bar, a stuffed giraffe's head, neck included, stayed forever vigilant, since being left on the doorstep by who knows who. Tattered crepe streamers still hung around the windows from some long-ago celebration, when mayors from 3 towns had come to a party that the Daily Ranchero reported kept both sides of the Rio Grande awake all night. Only one celebrant died of alcohol poisoning and one from accidental gunfire, which Clayton called a good night and the sheriff called good riddance after seeing who the victims were. He passed a roped-off corner where a Reb and a Yankee boxed. Bare-chested, bare-knuckled, bloody-faced, a dozen bettors cheering or booing. A 9-year-old pickpocket lifted the money pouch of one of the spectators, but Clayton grabbed the kid, made him slip the purse back to its rightful owner, and gave the boy a scowl meant to look dangerous. The youngster just stuck out his tongue. Reminded Clayton of himself at that age, stabbing him with a keen momentary flash of longing for that innocent time. He took a licorice stick from a jar in the bar, gave it to the kid, and pointed his thumb out the door. The little would-be thief grinned and ran off. Clayton and Isaac resumed walking side by side until they reached the table in question, where they paused to watch 4 men play out a hand of stud poker. One wore the dented badge of a Texas Ranger, peevish but too drunk to focus. Beside him was a young fellow named Tinberry, dressed in diplomat blue, for the past months trying desperately to grow a mustache. He was the Union charge d'affaires from Leonard Pierce's office, Pierce being the United States ambassador in Matamoros, appointed by Lincoln himself. Tinberry, on the other hand, was a career bureaucrat, posted here through random assignment. Bad luck, he'd say. Clayton nodded to this junior diplomat, whom he knew slightly and disliked slightly more. The third man at the table was a young, smooth-faced corporal in a Yankee blue uniform, with some kind of Grand Army of the Republic campaign medal pinned to his chest. Looked too young to be a soldier, really, but every year the recruits got younger as the young enlistees got killed off. Clayton had seen this boy quite a bit lately here and around town, though they'd never spoken. Tinberry made introductions now. Wilkes, this is Beale, the new corporal of the guard at the embassy compound. Beale Wilkes. They nodded at each other, then Clayton's gaze moved on, while the corporal kept studying Clayton's face. The last poker player was clearly the teamster Isaac had referred to, the man he'd said was cheating. Bewhiskered and weathered, his clothes were filthy the way teamsters seemed to like them. He had the look of someone arrived in town that day, with a sizable stake by the looks of the mound in front of him. Clayton watched the man rake in another pot. Tinberry was watching as well, with more than a squint of suspicion. Clayton began telling a story. You boys know how a rattlesnake'll kill itself if it don't know when to slither away? How's that, Mr. Wilkes? Smiled Isaac, who had long experience being the shill in Clayton's tales. Man just needs to bring up his pistol and wave it real slow back and forth in front of the rattler. Snake'll take a beat on the muzzle, follow its moves inch for inch, getting ready to strike, thinks the gun muzzle is the eye of a hawk. That's when the man pulls the trigger, blows the rattler's head off. Snake did all the aiming for him. Blind man could have done it. Of course, if the snake had any sense, it would have just eased on out. There was a confused silence. What the hell's that mean? Said the Texas Ranger. Means there's a snake at this table who needs to ease on out, said Clayton. He walked behind the teamster, put a hand on the man's shoulder. I'll have to ask you to divvy up your winnings to the other men and vacate the premises, sir. Clayton addressed him with courteous regret. Ask away, friend. I'm here to gamble. You have done so, sir, and lost. Out you go now. Who the hell are you? I'm Clayton Wilkes, and this is my establishment. You got special house rules I don't know about? Rules of the house are no cheating. Clayton grabbed him by the scruff of the shirt and pulled him upright. The man spun, drawing a Colt single action from his belt. But Clayton brought up a Derringer right quick, put the barrel to the teamster's chest, and pulled the trigger. The blast from the small firearm was barely loud enough to rise above the din of the room, but strong enough to knock the man backwards onto his ass on the table. A bullet to the heart will do that. He lay still on his back as a bloody stain spread across his shirt front, and his poker mates got up stunned. Oh, my Lord, said Tinberry. Teamster drew first. I saw it. This from the Texas Ranger, laconically indicating the recently deceased. That was amazing, said Corporal Beale in awe, evidently new to gunplay. Clayton reached under the dead man's sleeves and around his collar. Nothing there, but Isaac came forward to pop open the corpse's big belt buckle. An ace fell out. Isaac smiled. Some men like to keep their secret treasures close to their family jewels. Sorry about this, gentlemen, said Clayton. Y'all just split up his money. The ranger dug into the pile of cash between the cadaver's thighs and dispersed roughly equal portions to himself, the dumbfounded Yankee corporal, and Tinberry, who was methodically going through the dead man's pockets. Wish you hadn't done that, Wilkes, said Tinberry. We had good reason to believe he was an agent for the Confederacy. I was all set to have Beale here arrest him. Found out he was a spy, you'd have hung him anyway. Yes, but if I'd been able to learn who his contact was, it might have shortened the war by a year. War's good for business. I got no use to shorten it. And folks here I let cheats play at my place, it's bad for business. That's my only politics. He shrugged and turned to Isaac. Water is wide, Isaac. You best send this boy home to Jesus. Isaac flung the body over his shoulder like an old coat and exited the back door to the river. The Texas Ranger moved to a new poker table. Consular Aide Tinberry drilled Clayton with a stare. That was a hell of a thing. How'd you know he was a cheat? Isaac told me. What if your boy'd been wrong? He's not my boy, and the day he's wrong, I'll wire you the news. Tinberry just cursed his ill fortune and walked away. Damn, said a voice cracked by excitement and youthful hormones. Clayton turned to see the young Yankee corporal looking at him with incredulous eyes. He'd forgotten the kid was still here. That was so audacious, said the young soldier. I mean, what guts it took, not to mention quick thinking. You are one cool customer. Well, you run a place like this, you learn to anticipate behavior, Clayton demurred. Anticipate is one thing. Ricochet the hell out of it's another. Oh, we all have our own particular skills. I've no doubt you're a Jim Dandy sentry. With that, Clayton nodded politely and headed upstairs to his office. The corporal watched him all the way. So that's Matamoros for you. And the first song I'm going to sing is called Banamoros. This was the first one I wrote about the novel. And I'm going to, have to retune just a little bit again. This one is drop D and capoed up to the 5th fret. I never used to use a capo. I started out taking jazz guitar lessons when I was in high school, and my teacher said it was my obligation to learn how to transpose chords all up and down the neck, and capos were for people who didn't really know how to play the guitar. And then I started taking folk guitar from Kate Wallace, the singer-songwriter I mentioned, and I told her that story, and she said, well, there's a new sheriff in town now. So she taught me all about the capo. So this is about Kate and Allie, who's the female lead who plays a big part in the story. This is mostly about Clay's backstory, how he ended up in Matamoros. But it's not exactly, doesn't exactly follow the line of the novel. It's infused with some of his dreams and thoughts and imaginings about his background. So this is nonetheless Clay's song, and it's called Matamoros. Well, I met a little girl from Memphis town in a Beale Street gambling hall. She was cheating at cards and a doubling down, if that don't beat all. Well, I winked at her and she give me the nod. We made quite a haul till they chased us out, but she curtsied first with a good day, y'all. We had a good run till a Pinkerton man took us back to her family's store. And her brothers beat me terrible bad and broke my jaw. So I went home to me old man's farm, though we had no great rapport. And I worked and I healed and we made our peace, though I'll never see him no more. 'Cause the farm burned down when the Yankees come, a rum-dum-diddle-idee. Didn't want to go back nor kill no one, so I left Tennessee. I got drunk one night, woke up well armed in the army of Robert E. Lee. But I left on the very next moonless night, I ain't no enlistee. Not me. Now the home guard chased me down Big Muddy all the way to New Orleans. I met Allie again on a riverboat, she was holding Jackson, Queens. We ran a little game on an English duke of no small means. But she played the odds and married him, hell, she left me eating salt, pork and beans. And the world keeps spinning around and round and around. I just keep falling down and down and down and down and down. But I never did worry nor feel too sorry nor ever try to hurry up the river where it's going to ground. So I licked my wounds and headed south, a dum-dum-diddle-idee, to the Rio Grande at the river's mouth. There are 100 ships at sea, but Brownsville was an army town, too damn tight for me. So I crossed the stream into Mexico, where Matamoros be, wild and free. Matamoros was a jangling town full of smuggling, cotton and arms. But I learned my way around with a cleverish grin and a box full of charms. And I'm damned if she didn't show up again, fall into my arms. Well, the Duke was broke, and it's me she loves after all of life's storms, darling. Now the bars were packed full of Yanks and Rebs making money all off of the war. Was a couple brigades of Napoleon's frogs, their gunships offshore. There was Kiowa braves and Mexican troops, bandits galore. We had ourselves a fine old time, by God, we made a score. Showed 'em what for. and the world keeps spinning round and round and round. I just keep falling down and down and down and down and down. But I never did worry nor feel too sorry nor ever try to hurry up the river where it's going to ground. Crossed the river one day to the Texas side to buy my love a gown. But a Georgia boy who knew me cried, "Deserter, shackle him down." So the home guard locks me up and tells me, "Son, you're gallows bound." But I got a message to my love in Matamoros town. Well, she kissed me through the bars and swore she never would let me die. But they put the rope around my neck on a scaffold 10 feet high. And the hangman asks me last words, but my mouth was too damn dry. Till I heard my alley wail my name, well, it made me wanna cry. Then a boy runs up and shouts, "The war is over, glory be!" A great cheer goes out and there's Allie and the crowd are reaching out to me. But the hangman says the law's the law, so he counts them 1, 2, 3. And I felt the trapdoor fall away and the world away from me. Sweet mercy. Well, it dropped and it dropped such a long time down as the bright world fell away. And I seen my Allie running to me as I started in to sway. She held me up and they cut me down just to celebrate the day. And I wished myself with Allie on a great ship back to County Galway. Then the sea betook me in her arms, right gentle you might say, and the life I known spun around and around in a fanciful display. And Allie was there looking down on me like the sun's own golden ray. And I wished I had 1 second more just to savor this fine day. Let us pray. So it's kind of a sad ending, but that's not necessarily how it ends in the book. Some little retuning here. Just taking it out of drop D. Back to regular tuning. This next song is about the smallest character in the book. This is Harley, and he's the janitor at the Matamoros Opera House. As I said, the Matamoros Opera House was the largest opera house in the hemisphere, operas every night. And Harley's only in the book for a couple pages. His job is to sweep up, and it's partly to sweep up during intermission at the operas so he can eavesdrop on all the generals and diplomats and then sell what he hears to Clay, the owner of the casino. But I just wondered what his backstory was, how he ended up in Matamoros, and this is his story. I started to write this as a kind of a Stephen Foster sound. Harley is a poor Southern white. He was a Confederate Army deserter eventually. But as I was writing it, it veered from Stephen Foster. I was thinking of Hard Times, Come Again No More, that song. But it ended up kind of veering off into more of a blues. So this is called Harley's Lament. Trouble put his eye on me. I got a terrible feeling that he liked what he see. I tried to slip out the back, but he got the scent of my track. I wish he just let me be. I grew up half-starved in the Menifee Hills, kept the fires damn hot in those copper pot stills, till the war came, left me bad lame. Got a job cooking grub on a mule train, headed west, but old trouble give me no rest. Trouble put his eye on me. I got a terrible feeling that he liked what he see. Tried to slip out the back, but he got the scent of my track. I wish he just let me be. It was the war seeping deeper all into the ground, shedding trouble like a rabid and mangy old hound. Crops dying, babes crying, families begging on the road, their souls dry. And I swear war is Satan and trouble is his handmaiden. Trouble put his eye on me. I got a terrible feeling that he liked what he see. I tried to slip out the back, but he got the scent of my track. I wish he just let me be. I come down with a fever, mule train left me to die. Made my way to a river that was swarming with flies. Round a dead horse, fell at the source, where it poisoned the whole river's course. I just followed the flow of orphans to Mexico. Trouble! Well, I stole food to live and I learned how to lie. Got a simple job pushing a broom to get by. I endure, ain't no cure for trouble. He's got his eye out for sure, he's got his eye out on me, just waiting to claim his fee. Trouble put his eye on me. I got a terrible feeling that he liked what he see. I tried to slip out the back, but he picked up the scent of my track. I wish he just let me be. Yes, I wish he just let me be. Trouble, please let me be. I feel like I'm racing through these a little bit. Want to get through at least into the next CD. Next song on this album is called Scully's Redemption. Scully is an Irish fugitive from the Crown. He joined the French Foreign Legion, where he accompanied Napoleon's army to invade Mexico. That's how he ended up in Matamoros. Researching the French Foreign Legion was kind of interesting. I learned that none of the soldiers in it are French. The officers are French, but all the fighting forces are renegades from other countries who are trained to be loyal to no other country. It's not to their home countries, not to France, not to any woman, not to any idea, to only be loyal to the Legion, the Foreign Legion. And that's where the saying, the expression, esprit de corps, comes from. So this is Scully's story. You'll hear me talk about the Battle of Cameroon, which was, all these things that I'm writing about are historically accurate. The Battle of Cameroon was in which the 62 French Foreign Legionnaires were surrounded by 2,000 Juaristas. Those were the soldiers of Benito Juarez, who was defending against Napoleon. And the Legionnaires were wiped out except for 3 of them. And the Juaristas escorted those 3 back to their home encampment to honor their bravery. The Napoleon's invasion went on for, a lot of you don't know this, I never knew this, went on until finally, he invaded probably to test the Monroe Doctrine. He thought we were so involved in the Civil War that we wouldn't be able to stop a European power from invading this hemisphere. And he was right as long as the Civil War was going on. But as soon as the war was over, Lincoln marshaled American troops all along the border, basically threatening Napoleon that we were going to invade Mexico to stop him if he didn't leave. So he skedaddled, leaving his poor puppet, Archduke Maximilian, to carry on the fight. Maximilian was eventually captured and executed on May the 5th, and that's what Cinco de Mayo celebrates. So how about that? Anyway, this is Scully's redemption, Scully's story. I was wanted by the crown for mayhem and such, sailed the channel just to get away. Well, I never did like those Frenchies much, but I joined their service on a strong, fine day, become a French Foreign Legionnaire. I fought for Napoleon Bonaparte to conquer old Mexico. But a tropical lady liked to stole my heart. She asked me to stay, but I said no, I'm a French Foreign Legionnaire. We marched in a regiment from Veracruz to the Battle of Cameroon. To arms, did you hear the news? They wiped us out, but for me alone in the French Foreign Legion. I wandered many a savage night, foul sleep gave me no rest, nor peace nor gardens of delight, 'twas all a bitter jest, and my heart an exiled guest. It took the wind right out of my esprit de corps, winter of '63. So I drifted on over up to Matamoros, looking for my darling senorita. French Foreign Legion, no more for me, sir. I knew every toss pot in every bar, me spirit was in need of repair. Can no one love this sorry tar? Could you spot me a drink, sir? Have a care for this late life French Foreign Legionnaire. I passed out in the garden of a hacienda, me soul thirsty as a dry bed stream. But their kitchen lass became a good friend of mine. She held me in middling esteem. Now my legionnaire days are but a dream. So I work with me darling in the kitchen, sir. Should have done this a long time ago. I'd be drunk or dead if it wasn't for her, and I come pretty close when I soldiered, oh, in a life I wouldn't want a soul to know. Yes, I work in the kitchen with me darling, sir. Should have done this a long time gone. I'd be dead inside, but for knowing her, I was dead to life when I soldiered on in a time before I knew you, my dear sweet son. That was Scully's song. I like that song because partly because you don't find out who he's singing it to till the last word of the last line and the last verse. And he's got a son after all this. This is the last one from Matamoros, and it's the only non-story song. It's a feeling song. Kind of a spiritual for all the folks who didn't make it out of the novel alive. And I guess for all of us too. Especially on this day of Rosh Hashanah when we are reflecting for the next week. There's also a music video of this one on my YouTube channel. Sorry, this is taking so long. Sometimes it just does. So this is So Long the River. Oh, the river, I know will deliver you home. It's the taker and the giver. River, carry my words, be a song for this poem. I'll hold you near, at least I'll try. Some other time, maybe I'll say goodbye, by and by. Oh, the river, I know will deliver you home. It's the taker and the giver. River, carry my words, be a song for this poem. River, taking some good friends from here. Wish I'd made amends, but that was never so clear till you got gone, moved on. So long to you, now gone away. So long the river, so long the day, so tolls the bell. I bid you farewell. Oh, the river, I know will deliver you home. It's the taker and the giver. River, carry my words, be a song for this poem. River, carry my words, be a song for this poem. Oh, river, carry my words, be a song for this poem. So that's that. Are we out of time? Jeanette, can you write something and tell me if we're out of time or not? Or if I can keep going on? Or if anyone wants to stay, or if you have to get going, what the deal is? We started about 15 or 20 minutes late, I know. Someone try communicating. Ah, there you are. You can keep going if you want. Okay, good. Well, I'm just going to keep going to finish out the set. And anyone who wants to stay, you're welcome. And if you got to leave, if you got to go, then thanks for coming this far and putting up with all the nonsense at the beginning. I'm going to do my last set now for my last album before Matamoros, The Meaning of Life. And that last song was a good lead into it. As I say, I think now I realize now this is my Rosh Hashanah album. It's all about reflecting on the year past and what's coming and what I could have done better and how it will turn out going forward. This first song. Oh, gotta retune again. This first one I wrote for my birthday many years ago. I tend to get melancholy on particularly my birthdays that end in a 0, and that's what this one did. So this one's called Another Year Gone. Another year gone. Now there's some front page news. I spent valuable time, bought me a box full of clues. I just unwrapped that box, was full of them birthday blues. No big surprise, I don't feel much wiser, just older, and it's harder to tell myself lies. So it ain't what I choose, unpacking them birthday blues. Looking over my cup, I still take half and half. You're there across the table, I just have to laugh when I think of the years we've been sharing this day. For a moment these blues trail away. Time, the natural crime. Gonna free me one day, set me loose, free of them birthday blues. I ain't making excuses, and I don't mind losing a hand now and then. That's just paying your dues. But now payday is here, it's a pot full of birthday blues. Okay, it's just a few more. Next one. Actually, the next one comes with a story I have to tell. I was finishing up a song, and my producer, David West, a wonderful producer in town here, said, Jay, you should write an Irishy kind of song. You've done some nice things with that. And I've been working with this guy in town lately, Adam Phillips, who plays beautiful Irish pipes and whistles. We could put it on the track. So I said, okay. I started noodling around with Irishy chords. Ya da 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 da. And I realized after a while the chord structure I came up with was similar to an Irish song I used to sing my kids to put them to sleep when they were little called Autumn to May that I learned off a Peter, Paul and Mary album. It's about a frog who dresses in a red vest and sails around in a shoe. And the verses get more and more fantastic until the end. He says, anyone tells better stories than that must be lying. So a very Irish song. So I thought, okay, the lyric that came to me with the melody I was coming up with was, oh, the things that I've seen. Ah, the things that I've seen. And I'd write a similar song talking about these fantastic things I've seen in my life. Not that I would tell lies like he was, but I've seen some fantastic things. So I started out writing a verse about thinking back on some of my days in Hollywood. And then after that, I realized, I didn't want to write the same kind of song that had already been written by an Irish guy better than I could write it anyways. And I didn't know what my song was about anymore, so I put it aside. Then a few days later, my wife, Jill Littlewood, who's a wonderful artist, came into my room and said, Jay, you seem kind of depressed lately. What's up? And I said, I'm not depressed. I'm making music. I'm writing my novel. I'm going to the gym. Our relationship is good. I'm not depressed, okay? I was kind of annoyed she said that. She said, okay, I'm just saying. Then a few more days went by, and one morning I woke up out of a dream, and I had no memory of what the dream was, but I knew what the song was about. It was about a man lying on his deathbed saying goodbye to his friends and telling them, oh, the things that I've seen. So as soon as I realized that, the next thing I thought was maybe Jill was right, and I am depressed. And then I remembered my 70th birthday was coming up, and it all came clear. So once I knew what the song was about, it took me just a day to write it, and this is it. It's called, Oh, the Things That I've Seen. I used to think I'm all that. Used to watch my back. Was a real cool cat till I kinda lost track. But you should have seen my fine hat, boys. Should have seen my fine black hat. Now that was a hat to be seen. I was limping uphill, stalking the dream. I once knew the drill, now I'm losing steam. But I hope to tell, boys, I say what I mean. And oh, the things that I've seen. I saw a boy in a choir, singing and crying. Saw cities on fire, folks testifying. Saw a woman for hire, boys, and nobody buying. And oh, the things that I've seen. I saw war across the lands and war in a man's heart. Saw an old couple dancing, then tore apart by the malice of chance in its casual disregard of those humans being, when just being is hard. I saw the sun's orange rim as it dipped in the tide, like a visual hymn to that long slide from dawn to undone, boys. Ah, what a ride! And oh, the things that I've seen. So gather round, boys, raise a glass, raise a song. When I'm gone, make some noise to send me along, where these memories may carry me into the mist. Look, the face of my darling, the first time we kissed. And oh, A man scatters his rhymes, boys, they say, when he dies, like a tree with bare branches, sifting the moonrise into sweet shards of light that leave echoes like sighs. And no more will I be seeing, no, no more will I be seen, all forgotten the things that I've seen. Next one is that was the pre-anti-penultimate song. Next is the anti-penultimate song. This is a very, very Rosh Hashanah song. It's about a man in the twilight of his years contemplating his past and where he's going. And it's called Time to Go. There's one more year in the rearview mirror. Damn if I know what I'm doing here. Well, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I just don't know what it is. No, I just don't know what it is, my dear. I regret some things I did, it's true. Regret some things I didn't do too. Guess it's damned if you don't and damned if you do. But one thing I do not regret is the day I'll never forget, first being with you. All those days under all those skies, gone all their ways, told their truths, lied their lies. That's all right. I said my goodbyes. Feel my tires humming on a lonely road. Run out of gas, maybe get towed. Leave it all behind, lighten my load. Just remember when you get older and you're walking along on the shoulder, how the fireflies glowed. Well, it's ash to ash and dust to dust. I come a surprise, I'll go if I must. Was good for a time, now it's time to go bust. I can feel my hubcap starting. Yeah, the rims and lugs are starting to rust. Old man walks kinda sweet and slow. He doesn't have many more years to grow. Sees his life like an ebb and flow to and fro. But the summer days were sublime, and he figures he'll know when it's time to go. Just realized I did that in the wrong key. It was about 2 frets higher than I usually sing it, which is why I was stretching for those high notes. The penultimate song is a song I wrote for my wife, Jill. who's a wonderful paper maker. And so the paper references you hear are to her. My heart beats like a clock, steady as an anchor for your sparkling soul. Baby, I will be your rock, 'cause that's the way I roll. One fine day I saw you floating by like a paper kite lost at sea. Spun in the wind, wild in the eye, but you let yourself lean on me. Let yourself lean on me. My heart beats like a clock, steady as an anchor for your sparkling soul. Baby, I will be your rock, 'cause that's the way I roll. Time to time, it's a steep old climb. You find you're falling back into the sky. Just hang on tight, 'cause you know that I'm a heartbeat kind of guy. Heartbeat kind of guy. Paper covers rock. Rock keeps paper dry. So here we are, lock, stock, and you and I. My heart beats like a clock, steady as an anchor for your sparkling soul. Baby, I will be your rock, 'cause that's the way I. Baby, I will be your rock, 'cause that's the way I. Baby, I will be your rock, that's the way I roll. And the last song. This is a song I wrote for my daughter Laura on her 7th birthday. She's almost 37 now, so do the math. But when I sang it to her on her birthday, she asked me never to sing it again because it made her too sad. So that made me kind of sad, but to be fair to her request, it is about the irrevocable nature of loss and the inevitability of death. So maybe not age appropriate for a 7-year-old. But you're all past that, and it's Rosh Hashanah, so here we go. It's called Gone One Day. When she was 1, her hair was golden fine as the winter sun, trying to shine the cold December away. Then one was gone one day. When she was 2, it seemed to me that her eyes were blue as the January sea, all blue and gray. Then 2 was gone one day. When she was 3, there was music in the air, running and a-singing, dancing everywhere. She went along the way. Then 3 was gone one day. When she was 4, there was magic in her dreams, in the mountains, in the streams. There was magic in her dreams and all the stars at play. Then 4 was gone one day, gone, all gone away. When she was 5, such a sunny little girl, afoot and alive and walking on the world under the silver moon. But 5 was gone too soon. When she was 6, never wanting to be told the way she ought to be, she was wishing she was old. She was wishing she was older. Oh, I wonder why, as 6 just slid on by. Now 7 is she, and laughter in her eyes, and it seems to me she's becoming quite wise, becoming quite as wise as an old soul's smile. Now 7 is here a while. And when I'm old, I'll remember all these times, hold them to my heart in the cradle of these rhymes, in the cradle of these rhymes, as she is rocking me when I'll weary be. And that's my show. I'm so glad you all came, and the ones who you could stay late, thank you so much. I'm sorry, the computer is too far from me, and I couldn't work out the tech to see everybody's scrolls, so I couldn't answer you. But hopefully this will all get recorded, and I'll answer you one at a time over the course of the next days. Thank you, Jeanette, for hosting this, or for starting off the hosting, and for being there for me. Sorry for so many technical glitches at the startup. Thanks again, and I'm going to go make supper now. Hope you all have a great Saturday, and Shana Tova, which is Happy New Year in Hebrew, and spend the next week or so reflecting. I think we all have a lot of stuff to reflect on in our world and in ourselves. So thanks again.